So I recently came across this story out of California where illegals and community leaders are now demanding rental assistance or an eviction moratorium since many of them can't work because they're hiding from ICE. Yep, you heard that right. Nothing ever to allocate to Black freedmen. And they get mad if something is even thought to be allocated just to us. But they choose to come here illegally, getting all kinds of assistance already. And now entitlement has them thinking more taxpayer dollars should go towards their housing because they are at risk for deportation and have to hide. Take a look at the video and we will talk.
Continue. The LA Tenants Union is calling for an eviction moratorium. They say thousands of immigrants will be unable to pay their bills come July 1st because avoiding detainment is taking priority over going to work.
This militarization of our community, this occupation of our community, this terrorizing of our communities have closed down businesses, have taken away street vendors, have separated families, and then people cannot pay their rent. They have barely the minimum to survive. We need the city to put a rent freeze. We need the city to protect tenants that are going to be suffering this 1st of July when they're going to be receiving 3-day notices because they cannot pay their rent.
The union is also calling for a citywide day of action and organization on July the 1st.
Y'all heard that? Now, first of all, if you're one of these individuals who are here illegally and you're afraid to go outside to work, how do you have a job? They should think how you financing your life in this country, okay? Why should we give you rental assistance because you're here in the country illegally and you're working illegally and you're afraid that ICE will catch you and send you to the country that you're fleeing from? You're working mostly under the table, which will help you get even more government assistance because it looks like you don't have a job. And you want us to use tax dollars to not only help you hide, but help you with your housing. You know, guys, it would be funny if it wasn't so sad. But remember, they work hard. They're not criminals and they don't need nobody. And they're always complaining about us. Second, you want help in a state where the homeless population is at an all-time high, especially among FBA, and many of our FBA brothers and sisters from California have been pushed out? I mean, you can't make this up. Meanwhile, we've somehow found tens of millions of dollars to house, feed, and cater to people who have no legal claim to this land, while our American citizens, especially descendants of those who built this country, get nothing but performances and symbolism. They ain't got the nerve to get mad when we question or say something about that. You know, insulting us, telling us we need a civics class. You got Jasmine Crockett out here cursing all the time and being sassy to appeal to us. And that just does not work anymore. Many are really seeing the con, not just in California, but with the Dems as a whole when it comes to these illegals. This same state wasted all of our time making FBA jump through hoops for a reparations task force only to use our own people to sabotage it. Gavin Newsom then had the nerve to have an attitude when he was asked about the sabotage or about reparations in general. Oh, and let me remind you of what one of these people from this community, a lawmaker, said when it came to our reparations and tax dollars. Take a listen.
Consultants from the task force reported the total amount could be as much as $800 billion. $800 billion. That's 2.5 times the size of our entire state budget. To pay for that, you'd need a major tax hike, unlike anything this state has ever seen before. I recognize and acknowledge the painful part of our history. The pains of our past should not be paid by the people of today. The majority of our state is Latino and Asian, making up 55% of our population. Most of them, like me, are first, second, or third generation immigrants who had nothing to do with slavery, discrimination, Jim Crow laws, nothing. It is fundamentally unfair to force these people to pay for this, and because of that, I will be opposing.
You heard her right. She feels she's not responsible for a debt owed to us, but want to use tax dollars for her community. See, no problem with that. She ain't spoke out about that. In fact, in California, Asians and the Hispanics got together to speak out against reparations for FBA, stating they were not here, so they shouldn't have to pay with their tax dollars because they weren't here. First of all, Spain was the first to enslave Black people, and many of the Latinos are living in neighborhoods that were Black first anyway. They stole and terrorized many of our people out of them. Now, Tell all the history if you're going to tell it. Second, if you come here by choice, you don't get to tell others what you want to do and don't want to do. You inherit the debt and must follow the rules of that country. I mean, these people are entitled. I don't want my tax dollars paying for your housing and food, but it's been doing that, including your health care, as well as California giving you guys home loans. Okay? And the Asians got a hate crime bill after a year of what they claim was mistreatment. Meanwhile, blacks have been enduring hell for centuries. Guys, I don't know what our so-called black lawmakers was thinking. There was no way I would have voted for this bill. They would have had to tack my people on, or it would not have passed with my support. And this would have been the perfect time for them to add us onto a hate crime bill. They did this on purpose. Anyways, all of this, but the Democrats expect FBA to go out and vote for them when you won't give us any type of policy or anything tangible. You couldn't even tack us on to the hate crime bill. And these same people, notice, they ain't bugging them. They ain't talking down to them. When they ask questions, agents actually vote the least, but you ain't pressuring them. Never pressuring the people who get things out of them. You know, we don't care that Jasmine Crockett, again, is out here cursing. And look, they done made a fool out of her, done shamed her. We didn't care that Kamala had celebrities dancing at her rallies. First of all, it just came off as unserious. And it made a lot of us think that this is really how these people or the boule really see us. And that's not really a positive light. Many of us are just seeing the con and we just want the policy. No broken promises, no performances like how you dance like us, cook like us, or anything like that. Again, policy. Like y'all giving to all these other groups. Freedmen can't even have a serious conversation about reparations, housing, or land justice, or economic repair without them trying to include everybody in. I don't recall everybody being out there in them fields for centuries for free. I don't recall everybody suffering another century of Jim Crow and continuing to this day. See, they claim they're suffering now because they're getting thrown out of a country that they're not legally supposed to be in. Resources are magically available for everyone else. Freedmen are the most homeless group in California, and they won't even think to give these people housing assistance, but they're considering it for illegals. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Our communities were redlined, bulldozed, priced out, ethnically cleansed, stolen, sabotaged, and anything else you can think of. But they're giving away resources to everybody else, but it's always an issue when it's something specifically for us. Meanwhile, illegals who broke the law are not only being prioritized, they're being emboldened to demand more. These people are coming across that border, getting completely taken care of and demanding it in a place that they are not legal. There's a massive amount of resources for them or have been provided to them. Housing, help with food, funding to help them. Straight tangibles and policy. But other groups whine if we get something specifically for us and you act like you can't do nothing specifically for us, and we can't really ignore who's fueling this Democratic leadership in California. These same politicians who tell black voters to vote blue no matter who are the ones making sure the entire system bends to accommodate illegals and everyone else, while the people who built the country are just expected to just shut up and vote. Meanwhile, the people you expect to vote for you are being pushed further and further into poverty and ignored. Oh, well, you come around when it's time for people to vote for you. What gets me is they know they're illegal. They know ICE is coming to get them and still insist on acting a fool even though they're illegal in another country. Then when ICE reacts back, they're in the wrong. This is delusion at its finest. I mean, people are just going to have to get used to the fact that the current administration is just not having it. It's just blatant disrespect at this point. If they get any type of assistance with their rent, with California having so many people who are homeless, it is what it is. Now, I don't tell people how to vote because that's a matter of personal choice. You know, I think people should always have a choice without another person putting them down for their choice, you know? And I definitely don't think people have to do what I think they should do. But something is definitely wrong if you don't see what's going on here. I mean, some of these Democrats in California, as well as all over the U.S., are probably going to lose out during the midterms because of all this assistance that's going to illegals. These people have been acting a fool since Trump won, and they're pretty much doing everything they can to stop this administration. And I don't even have to be MAGA to see that. These people are losing their minds. I mean, literally, we're only a few months in. Trump is looking to get rid of this foolishness and pretty much undo everything the Democrats have done. Pretty much all these freebies they getting that they claim we get and no more handouts for us, it's going to stop for them. This should have been addressed a long time ago anyway, because no other country allows, this type of foolishness. It's not where you're born, but who you're born to. It's your bloodline. You can't just have children and they're born the same place and they're automatically a citizen. Try it in another country. They'll never let you do it. Never. But you so entitled, you think you are obligated to have this, as well as rental assistance when you're illegal. Now, I can't say if California will actually do this, but I can tell you more attention is being brought to things like this that shouldn't be allowed. Whether I agree with Trump or not, I agree with him on immigration. It's time for them to go home. Use those same fighting tactics and protest in your homeland so you don't have to keep leaving. Many FBAs are done being an ally to people who never appreciated it. And we also see that this has always been one-sided. It's time for us to go back to focusing on our own people like we did before. I mean, there was a time where all we had was each other during Jim Crow, and we did much better. Some of the best black business districts, towns, and communities ever. I mean, we made it work. We didn't whine or beg them folks to do things for us. In fact, check out what FBA did back in the day when we did need help with our rent. We did just what we needed to do. We created a concept of rent and house parties to help our own in need. In fact, this was actually highlighted in the movie House Party, as well as the show Good Times. I'm going to conclude this video, but before I do want to say, after the history tea of rent and house parties, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think they should get help with their rent, or do you think they should not get a thing? I really appreciate you all for listening to the video. And guys, I also want to say, take care of ourselves. It's been brutally hot. Let's make sure we're checking on our FBA elderly and making sure we're taking care of ourselves with water as well, okay? Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Emancipation Media channel, and sign up to my upcoming website, www.moorthreads.co, for our upcoming Black Wall Street launch. Thank you for listening again, and take care, guys. Did you know that rent and house parties was not only created by Black Americans, but for a good cause in our community? Now, even after slavery, hundreds of thousands of Black Americans were still faced with social and economic discrimination. This includes rent. Black tenants were required to pay higher prices for small and cramped homes, all while making less money. Now, out of this grew the grounds for rental parties. Black Americans would plan and host rent parties to raise enough money for those who could not afford their rent. Usually people would pay about 25 cents to listen to music, dance, eat, and socialize with their neighbors for a good cause. Now, while rent parties was originally intended to raise money for those in need, these parties would eventually grow so popular that tenants started to throw them to supplement their salaries. And then these parties became known as house parties and produce much dances and much music in the Black community. Now, rent and house parties are not as frequent as they were before, but prove just how loyal Black Americans are to each other and how we refuse to wait for things to change for us. Rental